Everybody, Nox here, and Evade is not dead, despite everyone and their grandmother making a YouTube video about Adam Fletcher's tweet saying Evade was going to be dead and was going to be nerfed. That is not the case. I took the time to do some testing on Evade last night prior to the patch being released, and the footage you're seeing in the background is that. I took a little run from Bear Tried Refuge to the world boss spawn location in Fractured Peaks. I chose this because it is a set distance. It is not, there's nothing in the way, and it's not affected by layout variance or anything like that. If I was to measure the pit, then, you know, there'd be pit variance and all of this thing, and I wasn't going to do 50 runs before the patch and then do 50 runs after the patch for a large enough sample size. So I took my 3 best runs from last night and compared them to my 3 best runs of today. You will see just a highlight of each of these while I'm talking. And my best run average for last night before the patch was about 27 seconds, a little bit longer. And today my best run average for the top 3 was about 29 seconds, a little bit longer. So roughly about 2 second difference, or about 2 seconds slower to go this distance. I tried to make it as set as possible. You'll notice in the footage I kind of sort of stop as soon as I hit like the world boss area. There's something about zoning into that zone that stops my evade from spinning, even though I have it on my mouse wheel. So I just felt that was a good time to press stop on the timer. And yeah, 2 seconds difference. So, you know, we could round up and say that it is 10% slower than it was before, roughly. I would say maybe it's a little bit less than 10%, but it's about 10% slower than before. As far as pit runs and how they feel, I will have some footage now. You'll notice that it does not feel as smooth. Like if you actually play the build, and especially if you are using a mouse scroll wheel situation to evade, it does not feel as smooth as it did before. And jumping into game here, I will sort of showcase that. Jumping into game here, before what you could do is you could essentially turn on a dime with evade. And so if you had to stand in a circle to maybe do an event or something like that, and you evade, you could literally sort of stay on the same thing and never move because you could cancel the animation. However, now you sort of go the full animation distance, and one of the things I noticed is it's much more difficult to turn corners smoothly in the pit. And there'll be some footage in the back, and I'll post some footage sort of over the top of this, hopefully showcasing that. That is where I think that the biggest nerf came in as far as like quality of life and feel. As far as damage goes, it feels very, very similar. I'm doing pit 65s in exactly the same gear. I did level up all my glyphs to 69 because that's nice. And the damage feels about the same as it did prior to the patch. I ran some pits last night and I ran some pits this morning with no changes in my gear at all. And it feels very, very similar. Again, the only caveat to that being I just don't turn around corners as quickly as I did before. It doesn't feel as smooth as it did before. You can't just sort of dart in and out of sort of like that graveyard or tomb layout that happens in the pit. You can't just dart in and out of rooms as quickly. So that sort of sucks. The damage feels the same. Comparing damage numbers, it's harder to like compare how the damage numbers feel because they've now abbreviated damage numbers. So you'll start seeing 20 million versus like the full number lined out. It's a little bit easier to read, but with this build, again, you're hitting so fast that it's hard to read the numbers anyway. The damage numbers themselves are the same. It's just measuring how often they happen, which unless you go frame by frame and measure it exactly, you're not going to really get an accurate thing. So I think it's safe to say that maybe the damage numbers are also coming out 10% slower, maybe even 20% slower. Let's just say that it's 20% nerfed, and then if I'm wrong, then we can be pleasantly surprised. But evade is still live and well. Everything about the build is exactly the same as in the guide. The only difference, however, there is actually one difference, and it's these pants right here. You gain 9% block chance per resolve. I swapped that out for the defensive aspect that was on the pants. That synergizes well with redirected force because your block chance can go above 100%. I was not aware of that when I made the guide at the time, but apparently there's a bug with Spiritborn where your block chance can go above 100%. You do not actually see that on your character sheet at all, but it does go above 100% and it does scale this above 100%. So that's something to note. My name is Nox. Thank you very much to everybody who supports on the Twitch and Patreon. Links to those in the description below. I will see you guys live on stream. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.